Good morning, everybody on the West Coast, and good afternoon to everybody on the East Coast. This is Dave Savage. We're excited to have a special live broadcast today. Excited to welcome my good friend and partner, Darren Hardy. Darren, welcome to the call, my friend.
Hi, everybody. Great to be with you. Welcome to my backyard.
Right on. Well, hey, I am broadcasting out of an awesome studio in Portland, Oregon, a studio often used by Nike and some other pretty cool companies, so it's fun to be here.
You look good.
We've got an exciting next-level partnership message for you guys today. Hopefully, you've invited your team. So for all you branch managers on this call, it's a great call to bring all your peers and your loan officers to. If you're a regional, we've got something exciting for you to bring to all your branch managers. So at Mortgage Coach, we were founded on this belief that the best mortgage professionals are the best teachers. They're able to really teach families how to make better decisions, but they're the most trusted and most valuable partner in the wealth team. And when I think of the wealth team that surrounds a family who's trying to build wealth with real estate, I think of a CPA, I think of a realtor, I think of a financial planner, and I think the best mortgage professionals are the captain of that wealth team, the most trusted advisor to the family. So what we're going to bring to you today is something that we've been passionate about. For over 20 years, we have been evangelizing to loan officers that you need to be more than a loan officer, more than an app taker, and you need to be a trusted advisor. So Darren is dedicated to helping high achievers reach new levels. He's spoken to thousands of mortgage professionals. So Darren, I'm really clear on the Mortgage Coach why. Why are we doing something special together? Why are we creating some unique content together? What's your why? Why Mortgage Coach and why the mortgage industry to do something specific?
Yeah, great question. Candidly, the first answer, Dave, is you. One of my great missions in life is to positively influence influencers. So I'm always out there looking for those that are making a big difference in some form or fashion in some community. And I've known you for a long time, Dave, and I trust you. I've observed what you've done to contribute to the lives of mortgage professionals, your heart, your intention, and so first off, you always pick the jockey before you pick the industry. So number one is you, quite frankly. The second is, having been in the real estate business myself, what you said in your opening comments is really true. If I want to find the influencers in a community, one of the most powerful influencers is that trusted advisor, which is the mortgage professional. I think the mortgage professional and the real estate agent are handling some of the most important affairs of a person's entire life, and that is their home, where they're going to raise their family, where their kids are going to go to school. And so if you want to make a difference in a community, you want to have a large ripple effect of influence, I think you start with a real estate professional, and even more central to that, because this is the scariest part of the entire equation, is the financial mechanics around buying their first home or moving up or moving down even, is in the hands of the mortgage professional. So really, having been there myself, having lived in the real estate world, I know intimately the influence that the real estate and mortgage professionals have in the lives of people. And so that's why that's why Mortgage Coach, and that's why the real estate industry as a whole.
Great. Well, let's kind of get into it. I mean, a lot of folks on this call have heard you speak, so this will not be the first time they've heard the Darren Hardy story. But there are people that don't know the story, and more importantly, there's a lot of people that don't know your current focus. So if you don't mind, story and focus.
My story started out like a lot of the high achievers that I have had a chance to interview and spend time with. It started out in dysfunction, actually. I was born into a family that divorced when I was 18 months old, and so I went with my father. My father was 23 when I was born, and he was a university football coach, and the only thing he knew about raising kids was how he coached football. And so really, the only way that you got any love or attention in my household was to achieve. And so I was looking to make my father proud. He was the roots to the universe that I had, and at that point in my life, he's all I knew God to be. And so my whole life was hell-bent on trying to make him proud and trying to achieve so that I got the love and attention that I needed. So really, it did start out in some form or fashion of dysfunction. And I remember the moment when I kind of call it the call to adventure. Joseph Campbell says we're all on a hero's journey, but only few of us ever answer the call to adventure, to strike out, to achieve your hero's journey, to take that journey. And it was 8 years old, and I'm at my grandfather's house, and I'm playing on the floor with something. I don't even remember what it was, but I do remember the long avocado green shag carpet. And on the television came a program many of us probably remember. It was called The Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous with Robin Leach. And I wasn't really that interested, although he started walking through his mansion, and then he went through his yacht. And it was when he stood in the middle of his driveway, and he took a remote control, and he clicked it, and 12 garage doors simultaneously opened, and it revealed the most exotic car collection you've ever seen in your life. And as an 8-year-old red-blooded American boy, now I was tantalized and riveted. And so I'm on the edge of my seat watching this program now, and Robin sits down with the guy, and he starts interviewing him, and he asked a series of questions. And I remember even at 8 years old thinking to myself, wow, this guy doesn't sound all that smart at all. And I've never seen wealth like this. It was the first time. I was raised in a lower middle class family where my dad was struggling to keep ends meeting paycheck to paycheck, and this was opulence and wealth that I had never seen before. And I thought to myself, well, if this guy can do it, who could barely complete a proper sentence, maybe I could do it too. And then Robin asked them the question that that changed my life. He said, what would you attribute all this fantastic wealth and lifestyle that you have accumulated, what would you attribute it to? And the man said two words of which at that point changed the trajectory of my life from that point forward, and basically sent me on this adventure that leads me to talking to all of you here today. And he said, time management. And with those two words, I became obsessed about figuring out what it is that the high achievers do to manage their time, manage themselves, and to create high productivity, very different from everybody else. And so even early on, Dave, like many of us, we have our crazy entrepreneurial endeavors, but by 15, I'd saved over $10,000 with all the crazy little things that I had done to buy myself my red beauty. I had a goal to buy a red Ferrari, but at 15, the best I can come up with is a cherry red Mazda RX-7. But cool. It was as fantastic as a Ferrari could be. And then by 18, I'm making a six-figure income. By 24, I'm making more than $1 million a year. By 27, I had a $50 million business. And so this thing of pursuing this passion to figure out how to find high productivity and to learn the principles of time management was working. But quite candidly, at about age 27, I'd hit a ceiling, and I was burning out. In fact, I was in the real estate business up till 24 and was just doing it like a beast, but I was killing myself. And then I got the unique privilege to start a television network that basically broadcast the same kind of content that you saw in Success Magazine. And that gave me a chance to meet the most influential people around the world, interview them, try to draw out their best ideas on my obsession, the one thing that I was focused on trying to figure out the most, which was how they managed their time, how they kept themselves motivated, how do they motivate the people around them, their daily methods of operation, the mindset and philosophies that gave them the edge, and so forth. And then, as many of you know, for the last almost decade, as the founding publisher and editor of Success Magazine, I was able to get knee to knee with most every successful industrialist that we know of today, and to really, with the specific intent of trying to figure out how they manage their time, how they optimize their personal productivity. And then that's when I really got a chance to level up how to achieve significantly more than everybody else, but also, look at that, giant bug. Whoa! Hey, now we know this is live, baby.
Yeah, that would have been my daughter, man. She would have been dancing right now.
Yeah. So, and that's really what brought me here, Dave. I mean, the last decade, getting access to the very best, to draw out the very best of their ideas, and then package it, distill it, condense it into a hyper-focused training program that then makes it relevant to us mere mortals. Even if you're not running 400 companies like Richard Branson or operating 2 publicly held companies like Steve Jobs, how to take their core principles and make them useful to the high achiever, or to the mortgage professional, or to the real estate professional, or to the guy that's running a chain of dry cleaners, or to the mom at home, who's trying to run a household, how to optimize one's potential, their unique strengths, and get significantly more done a lot faster and do it all sanely. And that's kind of how we got here today.
Love it. Well, I know the list of people that you have interviewed is long, and we'd have an easier time saying who haven't you interviewed that's on news. So, I mean, you know what the best of the best are doing. You've interviewed them. You speak to them. You know, I know you've mentioned to me a lot of times that you feel like most people have productivity wrong. You know, they're just, what does productivity mean? We have it wrong. If you could explain that a little bit.
Yeah, what most people know about time management and productivity right now is outdated and obsolete. The world has changed radically the last 5 to 10 years, and most people don't realize how significantly it's changed. I mean, we built these tools, Dave, these devices that we designed to make ourselves more productive and to make life easier. And oddly enough, in the beginning, you know, it did. Sure, we now have access to stream this webinar to thousands of people all over the world simultaneously, and it's given us access to a global marketplace and resources and capital. So for us to reach this audience out there, the problem is that it starts working two ways, and now the rest of the world has direct and immediate access to us. And so any grand idea, thought, solicitation, need, desire that falls out of somebody's back end or out of their head, they can immediately ping you. And so what's happened is that with every ring, ding, buzz, and such, our attention is constantly being disrupted, and our ability to stay focused, prevent distraction, focus on what we want to create versus what we need to react to, has fractured our ability to stay on track and move the needle on our important goals. And so here's the thing people don't understand is that we are the first generation to have to deal with this problem. We've always needed focus. We always needed productivity. We always needed to prevent distractions and stay on track. But the challenge that we're faced with today, nobody in the history of mankind has had to deal with. And for a lot of people, what they don't realize is that we've suffered a little bit of the boiled frog syndrome. Everybody knows the analogy. Put a frog into a pot of room temperature water, and then you turn the heat on, and the water rises without the frog noticing until it's too late, and it boils to death. Well, people's attention and ability to stay focused and stay on their task and create progress, and the fracturing of attention that all these devices and tools that we have pinging and dinging and pulling on us on a minute-by-minute basis has literally disrupted our ability to create and to stay on task. And a lot of people don't realize it because it is sort of the temperature's raised on us subtly over the last 5 years. But there's two very dangerous aspects about this, Dave, that I want to communicate to everybody so that we can kind of get a little bit of the smack upside the head. It's dangerous two ways. Number one is that every time we get a text message, an email, a comment on our Facebook, a notification, an RSS feed, a news alert, it's drugs on our brain. We get a little bit of a dopamine hit every time. Oh, somebody loves me. I got a new text message. Oh, email. Look at this. Oh, I got comments on Facebook. Oh, I'm getting all these notifications on Facebook. There's a dopamine hit inside our brain, and dopamine is the same thing that cocaine triggers. And the reason why people get addicted to cocaine is that this dopamine is incredibly addictive. And once you're on it, your ability to get off it is brutal. And the problem is, imagine a cokehead who is trying to resist cocaine, but is constantly, all day, every day, surrounded by other cokeheads and lines of coke laying all around it. And they're not only walking into rooms where everybody is on coke and coke is laying all around, they carry a coke pipe in their pocket all day, and they're looking at it 6, 7, 8 times a day. And so this addictive compulsion, obsessive compulsive disorder has wreaked havoc in our lives. That's number one. What it's doing to our brain. It's actually rewiring and rerouting the neural pathways of our brain. We are creating a condition. Ned Hallowell, who is a psychologist who I interviewed for Success, wrote the book Addicted to Distraction, who's an expert on ADD, says we have actually, based on our own behavior and choice, have created a condition that's called acquired attention deficit disorder, a condition so dire that people take drugs to try to get off of it. We've actually chosen to create in our own life. The second aspect of this is all of these devices and these platforms have tapped into the greatest weakness we have as a tribe species, this desire to be liked, to be accepted, to belong, our fear and worry about acceptance, to be in the know, the desire for novelty. And so every time we're getting a text message, a Facebook update, an RSS feed, it is tapping into that need, and another compulsion is been created. And so we're literally fighting, we're pulled on, we're prodded, we're all day, every day, and this has caused many people within our society, particularly high achievers. High achievers are subject at the greatest level, where we're overstimulated, we're overtaxed, we're overwhelmed. It's leaving us stressed, anxious, and oddly enough, at the same time, unproductive and unfulfilled. And so that's why new methodologies, new tools, new systems about how to manage ourselves in this environment is crucial, Dave. It's crucial, particularly to high achievers. And most of them, from what they were taught, all the time management gurus will try to tell you how to get it all done. And that is absolutely the wrong approach to it. You don't create your 48-file system. You don't handle everything that you can in 2 minutes. You don't handle everything. All those devices that were great and wonderful in the 20th century, under those conditions, fantastic. Today, absolutely destructive and dire, and how we need to manage ourselves productively in today's world.
Well, I mean, that makes perfect sense. I mean, for me, for example, I have this in my hand far too often. I mean, I'm the guy with the Apple Watch. Yeah. Fortunately, I have learned how to turn off alerts, so I'm not just, everything is alerting. But there's no doubt. I mean, attention and productivity, it's a challenge like no other time. So what do we need to know to be more productive?
Yeah, here's the interesting thing about that we already know what to do. The problem is that we're not doing it. You see, the success gap used to be knowledge. The reason why we built all these big, beautiful universities and Carnegie spent $1 billion building all these public libraries is because he thought that the difference between the haves and have-nots, the gap there was knowledge, the great divide. The reality is today, because of technology and immediate and direct access to the database of the world's knowledge, knowledge is no longer the missing equation. Anything you need to know, you already know it, or you can Google it. And literally, in under 10 minutes, anything you've ever wanted to know about anything is immediately at your fingertips. So knowledge is no longer the gap of what is causing somebody to fail. The problem is that people are not doing what they know. It is not an intellectual gap. It is a behavioral gap. It's a conduct gap. It's a character gap. So the problem is how do you change behavior? Not how do you change knowledge, because the knowledge is there. And if we would just face the facts, we just look in the mirror and go, okay, if you want to be a better parent, you already know what to do to be a better parent. You want to be a better husband? You already know what to do. If you don't, Google it. It's all right there. The problem is you aren't doing it. You know what to do to be a better mortgage professional. For crying out loud, Mortgage Coach has been telling you for years now about how to be a better mortgage professional. And they keep telling you basically the same ass thing. The problem is you ain't doing it. That's the problem. You're just not doing what it is that you already know or could acquire the knowledge relatively quickly. The same thing is happening with our productivity. We know how to prevent distraction. We know how to keep our focus. The problem is that we're not doing it. And so the program that we're talking about today, Dave, with Insane Productivity, is designed not just to give you the knowledge that you need, not just to tell you what Richard Branson and Steve Jobs and Dr. Oz and these great super achievers have done and share that knowledge with you. That's wonderful, but it's more important about how to get you to do what it is that you know or soon learn. So it's more about behavior modification. It's more about training you. So you don't manage time, you self-manage yourself inside the environment in which you are operating in. And the environment, as I mentioned before, has changed radically. So while you've always needed focus, in today's environment of epic distraction, you need insane focus. These are extreme times, and it requires extreme measures. So I don't want to just be an alarmist here. Here's what I love about what's happening today, Dave, is that we're in a competitive environment, all of us, right? And this environment is happening to all of us. And it's happening to all my competitors. And they're just getting awashed in this deluge of solicitations and attacks on their attention. And I love it because they are not handling it well. But if I can learn the methodologies to keep my focus and to stay on my vital function, to stay on my creative power, to massively leverage my superpower, I can destroy, I can crush in this market, in this environment. It's the same thing that happened when I was in real estate. I got into real estate about 4 months after Black Monday, and the real estate market was decimated, right? And thank God for me, because if it had been a thriving, abundant marketplace, any idiot could sit by a phone or sit in an open house and fill in the blanks of a contract. Anybody's aunt or cousin could be a realtor at that point. But when the market went bad, it was only those that were willing to go out there and grind it out and prospect that could then end up owning the market. And so I did so well at age 20, not because I was talented, but because I was willing to adapt and do the things that other people were not willing to do. Same thing when it comes to personal productivity. Your competition's getting awash in this era of epic distraction like the rest of us, but you learn the methodologies to keep your focus, prevent distraction, optimize your strengths, leverage your unique talent, stay on your vital functions and priorities, and you will kill it. It is the most exciting time to be a high achiever if you learn the knowledge, get the training, and get the behavior modification that you need in order to perform at your highest level.
That makes sense. So let's think about what it would be. Like right now, there's a lot of folks listening to this call. I'll bet some of you have your mobile devices. You know, you've like put it on mute, take a call, you're texting. I know me personally, you know, I mean, I am ADD, you know. I want to get up, walk around. You know, we're doing an important call right now where staying focused, talking, communicating, engaging is so important. But I think we all know how difficult it really is. So Darren, why do we have such a hard time staying focused? And I think most importantly, what can we do about it?
So first off, here's an interesting thing that I've realized about human performance, okay? Something I've been studying more for 20 years now, that we don't just have one brain. We have 3 brains, and they operate 3 different ways. The first brain is what's called the robot brain, and the robot brain is responsible for 95% of all of our unconscious patterns. And so it's pumping your heart, it's helping you breathe, it's replicating sales, but it's also when you develop a habit that you start operating at an automated fashion, that's the robot brain takes over. And 95% of all your behavior is driven by the robot brain. And it's operating on autopilot. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2 is what's called the monkey brain. And really, this is the one that gets us into the most trouble. Okay, this is the emotional brain. This is the one that loves and lusts. This is the one that gets excited, loves shiny objects, loves these devices, is constantly tantalized by the text and the email and the, you know, in the know, and what's going on with the Kardashians, and can you believe what Trump said? It just loves, it's the monkey brain, and it's bouncing around all the time, and it's fed by fun, pleasure, and all the rest of that. The third brain is the brain that brings you here to this webinar. It's the one that wants to make a difference to your community, wants to be that trusted advisor for a family that is under duress. And that's the sage brain. This is the conscious part of your brain that Maslow would call it the one that is seeking self-actualization, that wants to do something significant, wants to be part of something important, wants to make a positive impact. The problem is that's the weakest of the 3 brains. And it's the one that is actually operating the least. Yeah. Robot brain is operating us 95% of the time, totally unconscious. You can't do much to change that. It's the monkey brain that's occupying the space, that 5% of our conscious attention all the time. And these devices that we created to make us more productive is absolute crazy playground circus for the monkey brain. And so what we have to do is we have to tame the monkey, first off. And I'll show you actually inside Insane Productivity how to take the strengths of the robot brain, which has one job, and that's survival, and use that desire for survival to protect it from. Did I lose you? Am I there?
You're back. 15 seconds, but you are back.
Okay. So the objective is to use the drive of the robot brain, which is survival, protect it from the things that have it take over the controls, which is fear and threat, and then take the monkey brain that is stimulated through excitement and passion and zeal and direct it towards what the sage brain, your conscious brain, wants to achieve, wants to contribute, the impact it wants to make. And so, however, just sort of lay out a framework, Dave, about how this all works is we all start with desire, right? You have to desire to do something. So you have to desire to be a better mortgage professional. You have to desire to want to achieve more, to achieve goals, to lose weight, to be a better parent. So it all starts in desire. There are, unfortunately, a lot of people that don't even desire improvement. Okay, so obviously that's not the case for anybody watching or listening right now. The next is decision, because you might desire to lose weight, but you haven't really made a decision to do anything about it. Okay, so desire alone is not going to get you very far until you've made a damn resolution, a proclamation, you set a goal, you made a decision. Okay, so that's second. The third is you need to know what to do, knowledge. Okay, so if you don't have it, what we do know now is that you can Google it and you can figure out the knowledge, but you do have to know some stuff. Okay, and that's and that's what we're going to help you do. The next is behavior. You have to act on it. Okay, so there are a lot of broke experts in the world, people who know a lot of things but don't do any of it and thus don't get the results. So ultimately, behavior of doing the thing that you know to do has to follow. Now here's the gap, okay? Because a lot of people will make resolutions, or they'll start diet programs, or they'll start the Friday night date night with their wife, or they'll start their mortgage professional prospecting routine or keeping in touch with their client routine, but then 2 or 3 weeks pass and they drift. One of the greatest human weaknesses that we have is being able to stay consistent. We drift. We lack discipline. We lack self-control over the long haul. And that, Dave, is when you need systems. You need to embed into your daily method of operation, into your business, into your life, systems that will keep you on track. What the hell? That is like a bird. Do you see that damn thing? I swear
actually, I did see
Park.
It's huge.
So the systems.
It won't hurt you though.
The systems is what will protect yourself from yourself. The greatest example of this is out of Homer's Odyssey, right, where Odysseus, who was going to be sailing through the canyon where the siren songs were so beautiful and the sirens were so attractive that every ship that passed crashed on the rocks because they tempted the sailors, and then ultimately every sailor before them had ended up in death. And so Odysseus, knowing that he would not, as strong as he was, I've got willpower, I'm going to do this, I'm committed, as strong as he was, knew that he would not be able to stay away from the temptation of the great sirens. And so he had his men tie him to the mast, and then had them put candle wax in their ears so they would not be tempted as well. So he got a chance to hear the beautiful songs, see the beautiful sirens, but even at a frantic request to have him untied, the men would not do it as part of their initial agreement. We have to do that with ourselves. This is the great key. We have to protect ourselves from these temptations, and then we have to build in systems that get us to do, by automatic process, what we know we want to do, that we should do, that will keep us on track over the long haul. And that is the behavior, the methodology systems that are taught inside the Insane Productivity curriculum that makes this program unique and different than anything else anybody's ever experienced. And finally, will be the human performance mechanisms that you need to do all that you need to do in order to crush it in your market.
That makes sense. That sounds awesome. I think myself and every mortgage professional, we know what to do to be successful, but having, not just the discipline, but the habit, It's easier said than done. And let's face it, most of us have read a lot of books, been to a lot of seminars. You know, we've gone through time management, we've gone through productivity training. I mean, tell us, you know, how insane productivity works and what makes it different than other, you know, productivity tools, systems, content, seminars. You know, what makes it different?
Yeah, the first and foremost is it's not about the knowledge. Yeah, you've all read books, you've listened to the podcast, you've read all the blogs and articles about what to do to make yourself more productive, but are you? And then, so it's like the diet industry, right? It's turned into a $1 trillion industry, the largest it's ever been in the history of humanity. And yet, we're more fat than we've ever been in the history of humanity. How could those two things exist simultaneously? And they exist simultaneously because they require willpower. They require discipline. And here's the reality, the unfortunate reality about our human system, is that over time, willpower will fail. Discipline will fail. And the reason why we have a $1 trillion diet industry and we're more obese than at any time in history is because willpower fails. Discipline fails. So the unique thing about insane productivity, Dave, is we want to create systems and give you tools that render discipline unnecessary.
Okay.
That render discipline unnecessary. Because if discipline is necessary over the long haul, and I know that you're committed, I know that you're a badass, that it's different for you, but look, I know that I have started so many new behaviors, new habits, new commitments to my wife, new commitments to my friends, new commitments to my business that I've drifted off of. Far more than I've ever stuck with. So what we need are to build in the system that do not require discipline to be necessary in order to stick with over the long haul. So that's the first most significant difference that you will find in insane productivity over anything else. And it also is not one and done. The reason why I designed insane productivity to begin with is I do events like this, Dave. We're doing this fantastic webinar, and right on this webinar, people might get excited, they might get motivated, they might make some new decisions about their life, make some decisions about their future. I'm on stages for people's international conference keynotes all the time, and people get inspired and excited and committed. I see it time and time again, but then they go back home, back to their office, back to their house, and it's not a week, 2, 3 before they fall back right into old patterns. And so the difference here is it's not one and done. One and done doesn't work. It's like a warm bath. It's great while you're in it, but as soon as you get out of it, you start getting cold and you start getting dirty all over again. It needs to be sequenced over time, and it needs to be taught, learned, and absorbed in the environment where you actually have to perform it in. And so the Insane Productivity Curriculum is designed to be 12 modules that are delivered one module at a time for 12 weeks. So you get module 1. There's the training curriculum that is associated with that, the application of the systems to build into your life, to practice, to review, to improve, to iterate on. And then next week there's module 2. And so over 90 days, 12 weeks, you integrate layer by layer the behavior modification that you need in order to level up yourself to that super achiever status. So number 1, it's not one and done. Number 2, you get to consume it where you actually have to perform it. You get a support group that's going through it with you as well, which we all know is crucial to long-term sustainability of any new habit, if you can find a reference group to do it with you. And what's happening here with this program that we're doing together, Dave, this is where that ends up operating at a whole other level, where a customized version, specific for the mortgage professional, ushered by the great brand and stewardship of Mortgage Coach, allows people to connect that are going through this process collectively together. Man, what it can do for lasting impact, for lasting integration is amazing. So we've already had over 10,000 people go through the Insane Productivity Curriculum with astounding, absolutely astounding results. But I'm more excited to take a customized version that you, the expert in this discipline, in this space, make relevant and applicable right to the mortgage professional, and then bring a community of people, the Mortgage Coach community, that then ends up becoming the mortgage industry community through the leadership of Mortgage Coach, and then help people go through this process of layering on these systems and using these tools, I think it's just going to be, I think it's going to be amazing. I'm super stoked about it.
No, I am as well. And again, you and I have been talking about this for a long time. You know, I mean, I have dedicated my professional life, I mean, Mortgage Coach is almost 20 years old, to helping mortgage professionals become amazing teachers, to achieve the highest level of success that they can. You know, I've had the honor of interviewing some of the most successful loan officers in the history of this business. And there's no doubt, you know, when I interview the best of the best, there's just certain things that they do that are different. And it's always been, you know, like, what's my number one problem that I'm always trying to solve? It's helping the loan officers that sign up, become part of Mortgage Coach, just do the right thing. You know, do the right things day after day after day. Now, in our world, doing the right thing is creating a total cost analysis for every family you serve. And that's always been a struggle, you know, getting people to take action and turn that intention into a habit. So, you know, Darren, I mean, you know, I've heard you talk that, you know, what you put together really gives a window, you know, this window into the best practices of some of the most successful people in the world. You know, I have served some of the most successful mortgage professionals in the world. But tell us a little bit about what's inside the program at a broader scale. I mean, you guys, I mean, who haven't you interviewed that's been on the cover of a magazine? You know, so if you could share a little bit about the bigger picture, and then we'll get down into what we're doing from a mortgage-specific standpoint.
Yeah, just briefly. I mean, having had access for nearly a decade to the best of the best, and again, my obsession. My dad always said, find somebody who's obsessed about something, and then cash in on that lifetime obsession. Like, you don't just find an interior designer. Find somebody who's obsessed about it. Don't just find somebody who is a mortgage professional. Find somebody who's obsessed about it, because you'll always find the elite achievers obsessed about that area of discipline. And man, what you can, the pennies you pay for it and the leverage that you get out of that is extraordinary. So this has been my obsession, and having had access to the best of the best, focused on this topic, I baked everything that I learned from the brightest minds in the world into Insane Productivity. A few of my favorites are, how does Dr. Oz operate a multitude of different initiatives? A TV program, 200 open heart surgeries still to this day, chairing 2 large hospitals, 2 thriving nonprofit organizations. Branson, how does he oversee 400 companies? How does he delegate? Because one of the great problems of most superachievers is they're too capable, and so they decide to do everything on their own. And delegation is a skill that has to be developed, and Branson has mastered it. And what are those key essentials in doing so is taught inside the program. Steve Jobs, his superpower was his ability to focus, to prioritize his attention and his time, and how he went about that, the decision-making that went behind what to choose to focus on and how to operate 2 publicly held companies. And for him to have the ability to focus on whatever was the #1 priority of Apple at any one time for 3 hours a day, the methodology around that is game-changing for any of us who have far less responsibility than he had back then. Buffett, how he prioritizes as well, with all the solicitations on his time and attention, his actual very basic but profound methodology of narrowing down what it is that he chooses to spend his time and attention on. Jeff Bezos, when I picked this up, game changer for me. What he uses as a decision filter. He has a decision filter that allows him to narrow in exactly on what it is that he's going to choose to do, along with Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Wynn, Jack Welch, Reed Hastings of Netflix. All their best ideas are baked in here. And again, you're going to learn some things you don't know about how to self-manage, how to self-regulate, and how to operate at the highest levels of achievement. And I'll make it relevant so that us mere mortals can use what it is we're doing, even if we're not operating 400 companies or 2 publicly held companies. And then you'll make it even more relevant to the mortgage professional. But beyond the knowledge is the tools and systems that you need to self-regulate so that you can actually perform these methodologies in your business consistently over the long haul. That's how I would describe some of the things that are baked into it.
Good. So the base Insane Productivity is just what you just heard. I mean, it's part of Darren's life work. It's taking all the interviews that he's done with some of the most successful people in American business. And what we're doing together is we're taking what he has and then we're bringing the mortgage coach community into it. So we believe that we represent the best of the best in the industry. I have invited some very select, very prestigious leaders and top producers. So Bill Hart is going to provide some leadership and some videos. Mike Hardwick, the CEO of Churchill Mortgage, a company where all of their loan officers use Mortgage Coach. Every time Dave Ramsey speaks, and refers a mortgage, some just great leaders. On today's call, I have Todd Bookspan, one of the top loan officers ever. Wally Elderberry. I've interviewed Wally at least 2 times this year, and Wally's also led some Mortgage Coach calls. And Dave Gallegos. And the reason I invited all these folks is not only are they, just call it all in when it comes to Mortgage Coach. Todd's created over 1,000 total cost analysis. Wally's created all over 1,000 Mortgage Coach. Mike Hardwick has led an enterprise where tens of thousands of Mortgage Coach total cost analysis being created. So they're all in with Mortgage Coach, and they're all in with Darren. A couple of these guys have had Darren come out and speak at their events. So we've got a couple of them on the call right now. Dave Gallegos, if you don't mind, I'd love for you to go first. And just, when I told you about what we're doing with Darren, if you could just, I don't even want a testimonial. I almost want you to just tell me what you said to me during that phone conversation when I described what we're bringing to the market to help loan officers execute better. Sherry, just give us a minute of your thoughts on what you think of what we're doing.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm really excited about it. I went to Darren's first high performance summit, or not the first one, but one of the first ones, and then later been to a couple of high performance forums and had him out here to speak. And so everybody here in my company uses Mortgage Coach, so it's kind of a requirement for my LOs. So it's not kind of a requirement, it is. And so I'm really excited about a mortgage application with insane productivity. Everybody here we've all used. I go through it, and now I kind of want to do it again. So I got to go through it at the beginning of each year because it's just so powerful in the concepts and the ideas and the disciplines. And I love this idea of just take discipline out of it for me, and that's really a good point. We took Darren's. He talks about in Insane Productivity and several of his presentations something that he called the stopwatch. His stopwatch, where he would track his productivity when he was a real estate agent. We took that concept and developed our own invisible. We call it the invisible stopwatch, and we created a tool for the loan officers to use to measure how productive they really are in the actual productive work they do. And I just pulled an old one up. It happens to be my daughter's, who's a loan officer here. And in a calendar work week, seeing the total productive hours spent, we're grading it a little less harshly than Darren graded himself, but 22.9 hours in a work week of total productive hours spent. And the idea was to continue to improve that. So these concepts and applying it into the mortgage space with the work that we do and how distracting the work is and how reactive it can be. I'm really excited to see what we're going to do with this. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you, Dave, for taking time out of your day to come in and share that. And I think for the content, again, Dave's going to creating content for this product. So Dave, I think the stopwatch story and strategy is something great that we want to add all by itself. So Todd Bookspan, Todd has been one of the nation's top performing loan officers for forever. I've interviewed Todd multiple times. He's now a coach for Building Champions. Todd, you've had Darren speak to events that you've done, putting together anything you want to share with everybody.
Well, I'm just thrilled also to be on the call, and I'm also a graduate of the High Performance Forum, and really without going on, I think that we could probably all talk for an hour or plus about how great Darren is and what he brings to it. But I'm also a graduate of Insane Productivity, and I thought it was an amazing investment of my time and money. And ironically, the one thing I felt that it was missing was specificity to our industry. And so I love the fact that Darren has teamed up with you and Mortgage Coach, and that you're allowing people from the community to speak into it, because I believe you're taking a product that's, already an 11 on a scale of 1 to 10, and you've got all of Darren's life, his obsession for productivity built into it. I think adding on that layer of icing, which will be mortgage-based resources and encouragement and ways to use insane productivity for our own lives, for our team members, and for those that we do business with, is going to be amazing. So I'm really excited to be part of it as well.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to it. And that video you sent over to me yesterday is, absolutely the direction we want to go, where we have someone, who's done 1,000 total cost analysis, who's helped, tens of thousands of families get a mortgage, who's gone deep with Darren, and then we're creating something very specific for the industry. So I love it. So, Wally, you and you've been on a couple Mortgage Coach calls, and I actually had you do a top producer interview a couple weeks ago, which I can't wait to do that again. But I know you're a big fan of Darren, and you're also going to create some content for this insane productivity. What are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm absolutely a huge fan of Darren, insane productivity, and the high production form. Biggest thing I've learned from, one of the biggest things I've definitely learned from that and brought back to my team is, to be persistent, you'll get it. And that's one thing I've learned from the compound effect. And to be consistent, you'll get to keep it. And that's absolutely something I've learned from to be persistent, you'll get it. To be consistent, you'll get to keep it. And being able to double my business the last 3 years in a row, again, double, then double, then double. And learning Darren's principles and taking that back to my team, I'm beyond excited. So very, very excited for the opportunity and looking forward to it.
Right on. Well, it's good to have it. We've got the A-team, and like I said, everyone, we've got other folks that we are inviting at Mortgage Coach to create mortgage-specific content for the base Insane Productivity program. So we really have insane productivity with the Mortgage Coach community for the industry. So Darren, how does everyone get early access? We're going to formally launch this the 7th of September to the mortgage industry. So first of all, if you're on this call right now, you're a Mortgage Coach member. We invited you to have early access. There's, our database is so large, 50,000 plus loan officers that we are going to invite to this program. But for now, it's just Mortgage Coach. So how does everybody get access, early access, as of today?
Well, the program is $1,500. You can go to insaneproductivity.com/mortgage coach. So insaneproductivity.com/mortgage coach. And what you do is you get private access into a membership site where every week a new module will be released into the program. Now, $1,500 is the base insane productivity curriculum. Dave, we haven't talked about, doubling the content, making it really mortgage specific, whether we're doubling the price with it as well. But I know that you wanted to keep those that are getting Mortgage Coach clients getting early access, same price, which would be the $1,500. But you are also doing something else, which I think is super cool and very generous.
Yeah, well, no doubt. Our goal at Mortgage Coach is to help people change behavior. The number one mission at Mortgage Coach is to getting north of 2 million total cost analysis per year. So annually, impacting millions of families with the total cost analysis. We have membership, and we're a SaaS business, but that's the number one metric. So, what's in it for us is that we actually change behavior. You sign up. Obviously, providing a total cost analysis is a behavior that we'd love to see you change. But we know there's a lot of other productivity habits that we'd love to see you change. So we're going to provide a $500 scholarship for everybody that signs up for this. So $1,000. Really just our way of investing in you, the mortgage industry, to help you get to the next mile. I'm also, for the next, about 5 weeks until we roll this out, every Friday at 9 o'clock, I'm going to do an insane productivity mastermind. So that'll be led by me. Even if I'm out traveling, I'm gonna log in. You will get a link to something like this with GoToWebinar, where we will connect as a community of like-minded, motivated mortgage professionals to just take it to the next level with insane productivity. And you'll also have a bit of a voice as to the type of videos and the type of training that we add from a mortgage-specific standpoint. Well, I'm pretty clear. I've been a fan of Darren's. I've read the books. I've gone through his programs, and I've invited people that have gone through it. We're pretty clear on how to add value. But I would just say if you sign up today, you become part of it, you're going to have me every single Friday at 9 o'clock Pacific, and you're going to have this mortgage coach community of leaders in addition to being part of the base insane productivity.
Dave, I just want to commend you on the generosity of mortgage coach applying a $500 scholarship towards the investment for this early access, which I think is I just think that's super cool. That you're ponying up. Hey, you're saying basically if you take a step forward, we'll take a step forward and invest in your success. The other thing is that instead of what will become the price, you're getting the price of what the base program is, but then you will also get the customized version on top of that. The other thing, if my team is watching, Dave and I discussed this before, the customized version of Insane Productivity specifically for the mortgage professional will launch on September 7th. But between now, if you enroll now, we'll give you access to the base program starting immediately. So you don't have to wait till September 7th. You can start to get a feel. It'll also encourage your conversations on that Friday Mastermind because you can actually discuss the specifics of the actual content that you're getting on a week-by-week basis. So you'll get the base program. When September 7th launches, you'll get the customized version of the program. And I want to add one more thing. This is just something that I thought about when we were talking. I did a custom training program for a large financial network that paid me $100,000 to build a training program called The Habits of High Performers. To Wally's point, persistence will get you there, but consistency allows you to keep it. Those are the habits that ultimately have to be built in and sustained in order to get you onto the other side of your great goal and achievement. And so it's an hour-long training program on the best of the best that I've discovered for the Habits of High Achievement. They sold it for $1,000 per copy. I'm going to just give that as a gift. Okay, so anybody that enrolls right now, you get the base program, you'll get the customized version when it releases on September 7th, and I want to add into your membership site that audio training program, just totally gratis. That kind of was inspired by Wally's comment. I thought that's really where people learn that is in that Habits of High Performers. So I just want to add that as a gift.
Awesome. So I was just checking the questions that have been submitted. So folks, by the way, keep the questions coming. We are going to try to get to those. I've seen just kind of a couple themes in the questions that are coming in. And again, folks, keep them coming. I'll keep Darren for another 5 minutes if we need to. We did dedicate an hour to this. So, do sign up now. The link is active. But I'm seeing just a theme. Folks are I see one question's around the money. Now, I think some of those might have been before I offered the $500 scholarship. So I don't know if that kind of removes some barriers. But I heard conversations, mental blocks, concerns about don't have the money right now. Any thoughts on that, Darren?
Yeah, I would ask, how long do you want to have that problem? Obviously, if you got a money problem, what you've been doing hasn't been working. So you need a pattern interrupt, and this could be just the thing. But I totally get it as well. I remember the first seminar that I went to, I met a guy in a restaurant, 18 years old. I was really impressed and inspired by this guy, and he invited me to a seminar. It was $2,500. I'm 18 years old, just started going to college down in Southern California. I didn't have $2,500. So I had to borrow it from which I had never asked my grandfather for a thing because I think we might have shared 100 words total our entire lives. He was a World War II fighter pilot, super scary guy. Even his kids called him Ogre. But he was all I had to ask, so I asked him for the loan, and he gave it to me very begrudgingly. And I went to that seminar, and Dave, I would not be talking to you and to your amazing community if I had not. If I hadn't found a way to make it happen, it changed my life. That seminar, I talk about it often, 18 years old, totally changed my life. Because, look, I was in a dysfunctional situation. I would have just repeated that pattern. that seminar is what changed it for me. So if you want to have a transformation, you want to have a breakthrough, you want to level up, even if you're successful to get to the next level, my mentor Jim Rohn said, you don't achieve goals. The reason why you haven't achieved what you want is because you're not capable. So you don't achieve what you want and strive for, you only achieve what you grow into. You grow into your goals. So to get more than you have now, you have to become more than you are now. And so this kind of training, if you'll absorb it, practice it, will take you to the next level. You've heard from Todd Bookspan and Dave Gallegos and all the others who have gone through it that have had major breakthroughs for it. I would just say figure it out, do whatever it takes. I know I did, and I'm forever grateful and thankful for figuring it out and having that transformation make possible. So that, the best I would say is whatever your goals are. As this is another thing that Jim Rohn taught me. Take 10% of every dollar you make that your personal development budget. Whatever size your goals are, you have to make the size of your investment in yourself, in your growth, in your training, equal. At least 10% equal. So you want to make $250,000 a year, you better be investing at least $25,000 into your personal development. Otherwise, you can never grow into your goals. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, no, makes sense. So, folks, so I am seeing another theme, and by the way, this theme kind of applies to an objection I hear all the time when I ask people, well, you bought Mortgage Coach, you pay us for Mortgage Coach, but you're not using it? Oh, I don't have enough time. I'm too busy. Or they give every family a total cost analysis. Some get it, some don't. I don't have enough time. I was too busy. So I mean, it's a challenge, and let's face it, to be a mortgage professional, it's a busy job. I mean, there's two kinds of loans: loans with problems and loans with solved problems. So I get it. We live in a world where we solve problems for a living. We're busy. But Darren, what do you say to folks who just like, I don't have time right now? And I even see a couple of people saying, oh, what if I sign up next week? I mean, now is the time.
Well, the first thing is the irony not missing is I don't have enough time to take a time management or productivity course. That's in itself is ironic, right? So yeah, once again, I think we need a pattern interrupt. This is obviously it's what's called the sharpening of the saw. You can just keep hacking away at that tree with a blunt object and bloody your hands and not make any progress, or you can stop for a second and sharpen the axe and then swiftly be able to cut down the tree. And this is that sharpening of the axe. This is getting the advantage, getting the edge, being able to have the insights, the tools, and the systems that will give you a significant advantage over your competition. So yes, once again, you got to break the pattern. If you don't have enough time, that's the first clue that this is exactly what it is that you need, and you need it right now. But let me address the we're in summer, I've got this plan, I got a vacation plan, all the rest of that time thing. Once you enroll into Insane Productivity and we start releasing a module once a week, it doesn't expire. You get lifetime access to it. The reason why Dave Gallegos mentioned to you that he's gone through the program several times is because when he bought it, which is probably at this point years ago, he still has complete, unfettered, 24/7, 365 access to the program so that he can rinse and repeat and go over it. So what you won't get, again, is what we're doing right now here, Dave, which is not changing the price to the customized version of Mortgage Coach, you providing a $500 scholarship, and getting the Habits of High Performers, a $1,000 audio program on top of it now. So I would say enroll now, figure it out to get it now, and then whether you can consume it starting now or you consume it starting a week from now, to that person's question, or 3 weeks from now or 3 months from now, that is not a problem because you have lifetime, ongoing, continual access to it. And if updates and improvements are at your additional content is added, that just keeps being applied to their private membership site. So hopefully that addresses that.
So, Darren, is there payment plan? Are there any other options? I see what I think is something here, but I want to make sure it comes from you just so I don't misrepresent it.
Great question. Is that on the site?
Yeah, it looks like there's 3 payments for 360.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. So then there is the 3 payments. Yeah.
Got it. So for everybody that's asking that, again, this is Darren's product. What we are investing at Mortgage Coach, we want to help you be more successful. We want to help you adopt Mortgage Coach at a greater level, and we just want to see you create success habits. So, we're partnering with him to create content that we think will be unique and special from a high-performing mortgage standpoint. Again, I'm very passionate to turn every loan officer not only into a loan officer that closes 8+ loans a month, but that is the captain of the wealth team. To me, it's not only important that you are successful, it's important how you're successful. And I believe in advice. Advice is the ultimate value proposition. We want to help you be that captain of the wealth team. So all of the content will be in that vein. So again, we are at the top of the hour, and again, we really appreciate this hour you spent with us.
Yeah,
we don't take your time lightly. It's an honor to serve the mortgage industry. It's definitely been, best thing I've ever done is take on this role at Mortgage Coach, and I'm truly honored, Darren, to have partner with you and do something unique and special with the mortgage industry. So, Darren, really grateful that you're partnering with us to do this.
Well, kudos again to you, Dave. It is because of your leadership and your influence that that brings us to this table here today. There's lots of people that I could be doing this with. I'm choosing very, very few, and it's the best of the best who are great influencers, who have a great heart. And I think, once again, the community of mortgage professionals has such a powerful impact in the lives of families and communities. And you being the one that's trying to make a positive difference there is significant to me and to the team that supports me. So thank you.
Love it. So, folks, for all you that did sign up, you will be getting an invite to the Friday 9 o'clock Mastermind event. We will record that. We will also forward the recording to folks, but hope to see you there. I hope to just make impact with hundreds of mortgage professionals who want to take it to the next level with insane productivity through myself and Darren Hardy. So, Darren, I look forward to talking to you soon. And for the content leaders and creators, on this call today, we've got Todd. Todd, thank you for joining us. Dave Gallegos, thank you for joining us. And Wally, I look forward to creating some amazing content together.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, guys.